What's up, guys? Welcome to a new day. I'm Stephanie Ryder, and this is the 365 Shares podcast. It's January 25th, 2024, and this is the 25th episode of the 365 Shares podcast. Today's topic is PTSD and Survival. And the Big Red Book says the memory contains PTSD elements of fear, threat to survival, and feeling alone, perhaps destitute. I don't usually think about what I'm going to say beforehand. I typically read the passage right before I start recording because I just want it to be off the cuff. That's how it is in the meetings. We don't go in and pre-read the topic, which is selected during the meeting, and then plan out what we're going to say. It's really contemporaneous, and it's nice because you're sort of triggered in a good way to think about something, a feeling, a memory, a situation, based on what happens in the readings. And often people's shares come directly after readings and they say, oh, that just made me think of this, or I'm just having a feeling about this. In the Strengthening My Recovery affirmation book, it talks about experiencing neglect and trauma and how a lot of maladaptive coping mechanisms that we have as adults are really directly related to our childhood. It says if we had to scrounge for food or didn't have enough food at home, we might have an eating disorder. If we didn't have enough clothes or clothes that fit us, we might become compulsive shoppers or even shoplifters. It says if we were left alone a lot or if we were terrified of being alone, we might surround ourselves with people as adults and do a lot of things to manipulate people to be around us all the time. Basically, there are reasons that we would have adopted any of the laundry list traits that seem applicable to us. I definitely see this a lot in my life and in my family. You know, we definitely had a lot of neglect and just a lot of people being preoccupied with their own drama instead of nurturing us and raising us. I see issues with food in my family. I see people definitely wanting to be never left alone. And I have parts of my personality that always want to be around people or talking to someone and just need a lot of external energy because there is that inner feeling of aloneness. And I've been having that feeling a lot recently. Not that I'm necessarily physically alone because I've been spending time with my partner and with friends and going out and doing activities, but just like sort of a sense that I'm alone in my inner world of my feelings. And I try to talk about this with my partner sometimes if it gets overwhelming, but he tends to get defensive pretty quickly and just assume that I'm mad at him and that there's nothing he can do. And that kind of compounds my feeling of aloneness. So I'm struggling with that right now. And he does tell me he loves me and he wants me to be happy and ask me if there's anything he can do. But he's just not that comfortable sitting in my uncomfortable feelings with me. So I'm learning to deal with them more on my own. I'm Steph, and this is my share. The affirmation for today is, on this day, if I reach outside of myself for an unhealthy solution, I will remember to reach inside for the experience, strength, and hope the program gives me. This is something that I've worked on a lot in the past few years. I was so desperate when I was unhappy for a long time to have someone to talk to have someone to be with, to have someone help me not feel the way I was feeling. And I think that was a big part of me always wanting to be in a relationship and wanting to be married, is I just felt like I would never be alone. I would never have to deal with anything on my own. And that's not really the case. A marriage or any relationship is still dependent on both people's not only willingness to support each other, but also just their ability. Everyone has a different ability to be a source of strength and support for the other people. And everyone has a different ability to take care of themselves. And I think emotionally, at a certain point, my ex was overwhelming me and I was overwhelming him because we were both looking for things in each other that we didn't get in our childhoods that we really couldn't provide to each other. And I wish that we had found ACA in our marriage. Whether or not it would have done anything to change the outcome, I think it would have been something that helped both of us understand each other more and have more empathy and compassion for ourselves and for each other. I still struggle with certain aspects of going outside of myself. I need a lot of attention. And when my partner works a lot, I just don't always feel like I'm getting it. I have been doing a lot of activities. I have been going out and trying to just stay busy and learn new things and have fun and exercise. But there's still just an element of desiring to have this hole, this like emptiness filled with something, with someone. And I'm really struggling to get over that. And I don't know. I don't think there's any one like incident from my childhood that drove this. I think it's just that sense of emptiness or that sense of aloneness. Maybe it's the memory from early childhood of my parents being really happy and feeling like I was a unit with my parents. When it was just me and them, it felt like we were more equals, even though like obviously I was a baby, but I just felt a sense that like we were all friends and we were in it together. And when their love started drying up and when my siblings were born, there just was less of that cohesive little group. And I can sort of see why there are people in the polyamorous community or the ethical non-monogamous community who are like singles who date couples. And I've never done that, but I could sort of see how it would be attractive, especially if you have this inner wound, because there's this idea that you could like have these people that are like almost like parents where they both are interested in you equally and they're both giving you hopefully healthy attention. I'm sure it's not always healthy, but from the people I know in the community, it tends to be like a supportive situation where maybe the wife is bisexual and the guy is, happy to include other people in the relationship. And hopefully they clearly have a good enough relationship, the husband and wife, that they want to continue to do things together, even if that's doing other people together. But their goal is to like strengthen their relationship and still do things as a unit. And I can see how, as a single person who didn't get the love and support from parents, or maybe didn't even grow up with two parents and never had that experience, I could see how you might want to be involved in that as just a way to like recreate some type of home life that you never had. And obviously we're bringing like sexuality into it, so I'm not getting into direct themes of anything like that, but just in terms of, there is a lot of talking in polyamory and non-monogamy, and a lot of emotions are tied up in it. It's not really just, if it's just about sex, that's more swingers, I think. But there is like a lot of emotional support that tends to be tied up in it if you're part of that community. And I could see why that would be attractive to people. For me, I think I'm really dependent on that sort of amorous love feeling, that falling in love feeling. And when you're in a mature relationship, I'm in a mature relationship that has lasted for years. In many ways, I'm very happy with it. I'm happy with the level of intimacy that we have, and I'm happy with the commitment we have and how we both work professionally and emotionally to be the best people that we can be. But I do miss that sense of being in love, and there's a high that you get, and it's brain chemicals from, meeting someone new and being in that new love or infatuation stage. And I've really struggled to find a way to recreate that experience without just being in love with someone. And my partner and I have taken breaks in the past, and we've dated other people, and we always get back together. But every time there's a relationship, outside of that relationship, for me, it is this flood of these amazing love feelings. And I just don't know how to get to them. I do a lot of physical exercise. I've been going dancing. I started playing pickleball. I go out with friends and go to movies. I obviously do things with my partner. We go on dates. We have fun nights out. We travel and go to events, and we have a lot of fun together. So it's not that I'm missing the love. It's like the infatuation that I'm missing. Of everything that I've worked on in my therapy and in my ACA recovery, I feel like I've made so much progress in my temper, in my understanding of myself, in my ability to handle situations in a healthy way. But I still just haven't found a way to go inside myself and drum up those brain chemicals and pump them through my body. I just feel like I'm missing it so much. And that was a big thing that was hard in my marriage, is not only did I, after a year or two into the marriage, start to lose those infatuation, early love feelings, but it was so obvious that my ex-husband had lost them as well. And he was a substance dependent person. And I think it made him so depressed that we didn't have those love chemicals anymore. I don't think he knew that that was just how relationships go, because he hadn't been in a lot of long-term relationships. I don't think he'd been in any. And I think he took that to mean that our love was over, or that I just didn't do it for him anymore, or that he didn't do it for me anymore. And neither of us really figured out how to kind of recapture that magic. We were always trying to do it, but like everything we did together that used to be more fun early in our relationship just made us more and more depressed. And there's just a lot of couples like, I think if you have kids, you sort of transfer that feeling to your kids. And my partner and I have been trying really hard to have kids. We have so far been unsuccessful. So not only are we in this mature relationship stage where we don't have that infatuation, but we also don't have little humans who we love so much with all of our hearts to like transfer all that energy to, or to even get energy from them, because then you're dealing with their problems and their love and their joy and nurturing them. Like it becomes such a bigger job than just whether or not you're happy and in love, because you're creating humans and raising them and making sure they're healthy and happy and get better what we got than what we got. So I don't know, I just feel this emptiness, and it's not being filled with children right now because we don't have children yet, and it's not being filled with new romantic love because we're in a mature stage of our relationship, and I just don't really know what to do, and I've been struggling with that. So hopefully something will come to me. If anyone who's listening to this now or at any point in the future has ideas for me, I'm happy to hear them. Hopefully a solution will come to me so that I can just stay centered within myself and not feel like there's this emptiness of something that's missing.